Tanny is a hopeless loser with no chicks, until his quiet existence becomes the sole obsession of a crazy chick, whose desperate attempts to bone him set off a chaotic chain of misunderstandings and a desperate, heartfelt confession. It all begins with Suzuki carrying out an extensive makeover of her face as she prepares for school. She ignores the fact that she might run late, and instead makes sure that all the colors are in the right places to avoid participating in the tournament of clowns. After she is done, she excitedly walks to school and greets literally everybody she meets on the way, as if she were competing for Miss High Morals. The moment she enters the classroom, her attention immediately shifts to the quiet dude, Tanny, who sits beside her. Unlike the others she's been greeting, it takes a moment to greet Tanny, and when he replies, she heaves a sigh of relief before taking her seat. Two of her friends soon show up to talk about her heavy makeup, but she really doesn't care as she gives excuses for why she picked the type of makeup she used. Suzuki wastes no time switching her focus to Tanny again, until her friends scold her for always disturbing Tanny. Unknown to the two, Suzuki is secretly in love with Tanny, which is why she is always all over him. Suzuki had fallen for Tanny because he is someone who speaks his mind when he needs to, even though he is the quiet type. Suzuki recalled the day they changed seats that put him close to Tanny. This was easily the best day of her life because she finally got the chance to speak directly to Tanny. Suzuki is fully immersed in her imagination until her friends call her back to reality. They ask her a question, and she ends up adding Tanny to the equation. Her friends then tell Tanny to let them know if Suzuki is pestering her, but surprisingly, Tanny lets them know that he doesn't mind. The moment Tanny utters these words, Suzuki's head almost blows apart like an inflated balloon. Suzuki is shivering all over, wishing that she could get the chance to speak to Tanny as she wants. Suzuki is still recovering from the sudden emotional burst when her friends suggest that they visit their favorite burger spot after school. Suzuki plans to refuse the invitation, since she has her homework to attend to, but seeing the excitement on their faces, she has no choice but to accept. Later on, one of the hopeless dudes in the class, Marimo, shows up, asking Suzuki if he can copy her homework. Being the nice girl that she is, she hands over her homework. During lunch, Suzuki's friends talk about Tanny casually, but every topic about him sends Suzuki into a frenzy. At some point, she almost chokes on her drink, and when they ask her what she is wrong, she covers it up with a lie. Later that day, Suzuki finds herself stuck in the restroom, thinking about her miserable life. Before she knows it, almost everyone in the school has left. She finally summons up the courage to go home, but everything goes crazy when she reaches the locker room to find Tanny. Suzuki almost faints on the spot, but she gathers the courage to speak to Tanny, asking him why he is at the school so late. Tanny replies that he had committee stuff to attend to. Suzuki then asks him which way he usually takes when going home, and Tanny reveals his usual path. Suzuki is completely blown when she realizes that they take the same route. She manages to gather the words, and she asks Tanny if they can walk part of the way together. Moments later, the two are seen on their way home. Tanny remains quiet, dude that he is, while Suzuki starts firing questions everywhere, trying to make the conversation lively. She keeps jumping from one thing to the other until she reaches her visit to the burger shop. Suzuki talks about how big the burger was, but suddenly, it dawns on her that she might be yapping too much, and the conversation might have gotten really boring for Tanny. Not knowing what to say, she suddenly asks Tanny if he would be willing to grab a burger with her. Suzuki immediately suffers a brain freeze when Tanny says yes. Suzuki can't process what she just heard, as she tries to figure out if Tanny was only playing along to match the mood. However, it dawns on her that Tanny is not such a person. Suzuki starts to panic in an attempt to find something to say back to Tanny to make sure the moment doesn't die. In the process, her hand suddenly touches Tanny's hand, and she turns red like a tomato. She freezes up in fear, and Tanny just stares at her without saying a word. In a sudden turn of events, Tanny grabs her hand and holds her. Suzuki almost could not believe what was happening, as she concluded that she must be dreaming. At the same time, she realizes that her palm is sweaty like crazy. Even her heartbeat is so loud that it can be heard outside. She loses sense of time until they finally reach the crossway, where they are going their separate ways. Tanny drops her hand, and this is when she finally comes back to her senses. From then on, Suzuki totally loses her memory, as she has no idea what she said to Tanny or what he said to her. Suzuki even got home and couldn't make it to her room, causing her to sleep in the lobby until her troublesome brother showed up to disturb her. For the rest of the night, Suzuki remains a shadow of herself with her brain failing to process the events of the day. She suffers panic attacks every minute before she finally gets to sleep. The next morning, she finally wakes up when she falls off the bed. She casually picks up her phone to check the time, only to see that she is running late. She rushes out of her room, screaming about how she has always been early. To make it worse, she realizes that she is the only one left at home, and her mother had left a note for her, telling her that it is fine to be late sometimes. Since she is already late, Suzuki decides to just do her things slowly. By the time she is done, she arrives in the afternoon, and her friends tell her that she should have just taken the day off. Just as she is settling, Marimo shows up, throwing a heavy question at Suzuki. He asks her if she and Tani are dating because one random dude saw them walking home together. This question hits Suzuki really hard, leaving her in a tight space. She can't believe that her undefined relationship already has eyes all over it. Trying to engage in damage control, she screams at Marimo, telling him that it is not what they think. However, she utters the words just when Tani enters the classroom. Suzuki freezes when she sees Tani pick up his book and walk out of the classroom. Without a doubt, Suzuki realizes that she might have just crashed the relationship she was still trying to build. While they are in the general class, Suzuki remains uncomfortable because Tani heard her denying the relationship. Desperate, she thinks of apologizing to Tani in front of everyone, but she doesn't have the guts to go through with this. As the day goes by, Suzuki remains horrible and a shadow of herself. During the badminton match, all she can think about is Tani and the possibility that he is feeling terrible because of what she did. When they return to their class, Tani continues doing his thing, while Suzuki trembles in her seat, looking for a way to talk to Tani. However, she can't clear up the misunderstanding while everyone is present, ultimately compounding the misery. Just as Tani is about to leave for the day, he walks up to Suzuki, telling her to forget about yesterday's events, while also apologizing to her. After saying this, he walks away, but without realizing, he just shattered whatever hope Suzuki had left. Suzuki remains mute while the whole class is having a good time. His friends walk up to her, and this is when Suzuki finally comes clean, revealing that she is in love with Tani. Her friends are shocked to hear this, and Suzuki continues by revealing that she was the one who invited Tani to walk home with her the day before. With tears in her eyes, she asks her friend if she did something wrong. Marimo freaks out when he realizes that the whole thing with Suzuki and Tani is actually serious. Being the best friends that they are, the trio tells Suzuki to chase after Tani because he is already on his way home. They motivate her, telling her that she can catch up if she runs really hard. Suzuki immediately takes their advice, and she makes a run for it, as she tracks down Tani's walk path. At the same time, Tani is thinking about Suzuki, and he believes that he was the one who mistook the whole situation because Suzuki was always nice to him. Moments later, Suzuki catches up to him, and she screams at the top of her voice, telling Tani that she loves him. Tani is shocked as he turns around to see Suzuki running up to him. With tears in her eyes, Suzuki expresses herself, talking about how she felt and her fear of telling Tani what she wanted. Suzuki finally lets go of her, and she lets Tani know that she always wants them to be together. The confession comes as a shock to Tani, but at the same time, he mans up and lets Suzuki know that she makes him really comfortable and would like it to continue that way. With the two confessing to each other, everything finally works out for them, thus removing the tense energy that has been a wall between them.
The following day, Tani heads to school minding his business, but he suddenly meets Marimo, who greets him with the energy of someone who just won the lottery. The sudden enthusiasm catches Tani off guard, and it immediately makes him wonder if Suzuki might have said something about them. Before Tani can overthink it too much, Marimo casually lets it slip that he already knows about the whole thing. Tani explains that he had no intention of telling anyone since he wanted to protect Suzuki's reputation and avoid unnecessary gossip. Marimo brushes this off without a second thought and tells him not to worry, revealing that Suzuki already went ahead and declared her love for Tani in public the previous day. He explains that Suzuki's reputation was never in danger. If anything, it is Tani whose value has suddenly skyrocketed thanks to that bold confession. Hearing this makes Tani feel a little awkward, and he ends up praising Marimo for being so outgoing and confident. Marimo happily accepts the compliment and hands Tani a piece of candy like it is a reward. Meanwhile, back in the classroom, Suzuki is having the time of her life as she chats excitedly with her friends about a soapy novel. While she is completely invested in the dramatic love story, Satu and Watanabe are more interested in getting updates about her and Tani. The two of them start commenting on how Suzuki usually carries entire conversations on her own whenever she is with Tani. Watanabe even offers her an article that is meant to help her hold better conversations. As Suzuki reads through it, reality hits her hard, and she realizes that she has basically been a broken gong the entire time she has been talking to Tanny. It also dawns on her that their relationship might have already moved into something deeper. Just thinking about it fills her with a confusing mix of excitement and fear. After spiraling for a bit, Suzuki suddenly makes up her mind and vows to become the ultimate girlfriend. When Sada asks how she plans to do that, Suzuki freezes after realizing she has absolutely no plan. In the end, she decides the safest move is to ask Tanny to walk home with her again after Tanny arrives in class. Sada asks him if he is comfortable with them hanging around him, and Tanny lets them know that he has no problem with it. Suzuki expresses her dissatisfaction with his answer, but the moment he leans in and asks what he should have said, she panics. Seeing this, Sada nudges her to do what they had talked about earlier. Suzuki tries to back out at first, but after a bit more pressure, she finally asks Tanny if they can walk home together. After school, the two of them leave the classroom, with Suzuki marching ahead like a malfunctioning Terminator. She greets everyone she passes, making people wonder why she is walking like a robot. From behind, Marimo and the others watch, with Marimo commenting on how Tanny somehow manages to be invisible. Once outside the school, an awkward silence settles between them, and Suzuki spirals, thinking of what to say. She notices Tanny trying to make a move, so she decides to take advantage of it, but he suddenly backs down, leaving her hanging. A few moments later, they reach an intersection, and Suzuki bids Tanny farewell, but he suddenly grabs her hand and asks if she can spare a few more minutes. They settle down at a nearby park, where he explains how Marimo approached him earlier that morning. Tanny admits he has been conflicted about hiding their relationship from others, prompting Suzuki to quickly apologize for making it public without his consent. To her surprise, Tanny confesses that he does not mind at all. Suzuki then realizes she may have been too self-absorbed without paying attention to how he felt. With sudden resolve, she boldly declares how much she wants to tell the world about the two of them. The outburst leaves Tanny stunned, and he casually invites her out on a date. They burst into laughter when they both mention the same hamburger spot at the exact same time. Tanny tries to search for other hangout ideas but freezes in embarrassment because of his browser history. Just like her, he had been researching how to talk to a girl. He attempts to flee, but she catches up, calling him utterly adorable. As Suzuki enjoys the moment, Tanny wishes he could sink into the ground. Then, unexpectedly, he leans in and whispers how much he loves her, and Suzuki nearly overheats. Later, as they head home together, she complains about a sore throat while still floating on cloud 9, and Tanny hands her a mint candy. The following day, Suzuki is still riding high as she happily boasts to her friends about her upcoming date with Tanny. Sata suggests that she should take a bunch of pictures during the date, but Suzuki refuses because she usually looks like an ugly chicken in pictures. After school, she runs straight into another crisis as she stares at her closet, unable to decide what to wear. The next day, her nerves are so bad that she arrives at the meeting spot 30 minutes early. While waiting, she sweats uncontrollably and considers waiting inside a restaurant but panics at the thought of missing Tanny if he passes by. Just then, Tanny shows up wearing his usual plain clothes, but to Suzuki he looks better than a K-pop idol. He had arrived 20 minutes early so she would not have to wait, only to realize she beat him to it. A little later, they reach the burger spot, and Suzuki grabs her burger with excitement, then suddenly freezes after remembering how terrible she looks while eating. Watching how naturally Tanny eats makes her overthink, causing her to nibble at her food awkwardly. Sensing her discomfort, Tanny reassures her, and Suzuki immediately goes back to devouring the burger like a hungry bear. Shortly after eating, Suzuki drags Tanny around the mall to explore before their movie starts. After a while, they head into the theater and Tanny notices Suzuki stealing glances at him. She boils over in embarrassment when he asks her about it. During the movie, Suzuki ends up crying through most of it, while Tanny stares at her, completely unaffected by the emotional scenes. Once the movie ends, Suzuki immediately rushes off to the restroom to fix her makeup. When she returns out, she spots Tanny standing near a photo booth. She wonders if this is her chance to take pictures like Sata suggested, but her nerves get the better of her. Tanny then snaps her out of it by suggesting they check out a souvenir shop instead. He explains that they should pick matching items to remember their first date, and this instantly sends Suzuki over the moon. Later on, they sit down to rest, and Suzuki starts talking non-stop about the movie, but cannot remember the names of any of the characters. As she rambles, Tanny calmly fills in the missing names, leaving her impressed by his memory. However, she realizes he did not really understand the movie at all and teases him about it. Tanny quickly apologizes, and Suzuki suddenly feels bad, wondering if he even enjoyed the movie in the first place. On their way back home, Suzuki feels satisfied because she genuinely enjoyed the date, but it slowly dawns on her that everything they did was mostly what she wanted. After getting off the train, the two of them walk in complete silence, and Suzuki cannot help wishing that the road home could somehow stretch on forever. Acting on impulse, she suddenly grabs Tanny's hand only to let go immediately, but before she can pull away, Tanny firmly takes her hand. They continue walking with an awkward tension settling between them. Suzuki starts swinging her arm, and to break the silence, she tells him that she really had a lot of fun on their date. She then apologizes for not really factoring what he likes into their date. Tanny calmly tells her that even though they did everything she enjoys, he still had fun simply because he was with her. He explains that those kinds of activities are not usually his thing, but he does not mind doing unfamiliar things as long as she is involved. Hearing this honest confession sends a rush of excitement through Suzuki, and without thinking, she blurts out that she wants to take a picture with him. Tanny agrees immediately, and Suzuki quickly positions him and tells him what to do. After taking the photo, she says goodbye, but stops when she notices him staring at her. To her shock, Tanny suddenly comments that he likes pandas while staring at her shirt, causing Suzuki to run off, completely overwhelmed. She gets home still floating with happiness, rushes to her room to check the photo, and is immediately crushed when she realizes she looks like a smiling giraffe. The following day, Suzuki's friend Azuma asks Suzuki about the plushie and is surprised to learn that it is from Tanny. She is more shocked to learn that they are dating. Azuma is a bit jealous because she has terrible luck with boyfriends. Just then, they walk in and join the others in talking about ideal types. Suzuki happily explains that she likes someone with a bad boy aura. Taira, a sad loser struggling with an identity crisis, spirals while thinking about types, and he concludes that girls just want to date popular guys. Suzuki rushes over to greet Tanny when Marimo reminds her that she still has a boyfriend. Taira is the last of their friend group to find out the juicy news, but he can't wrap his head around the bizarre mash. Basically, he feels that Tanny is a loser and way too different from Suzuki's ideal type. He finds it even more weird that all of Suzuki's friends are now comfortable with Tanny. Later, he privately asks Suzuki why she chose Tanny, and she simply says that Tanny is cool. Since Taira is too dumb to understand her reason, they decide to leave it at that. After her conversation with Taira, Suzuki playfully teases Tanny with canned drinks, while Taira watches in shock and disgust. Later, Suzuki is chatting with Watanabe, and Marimo rushes in, begging for Suzuki's homework. He quickly switches and asks Tanny, but before Suzuki can stop him, Tanny already pulls the homework out. Taira is disgusted that Suzuki's friends are already taking advantage of her boyfriend. He seems to be the only one in the group struggling with coming to terms with this new dynamic. After school, Taira continues to struggle with his identity crisis until Azuma approaches him. He ignores her and is still spiraling when Suzuki and Tanny pass by on their way home. The sight of them walking together without any care in the world puzzles Taira. Meanwhile, Tanny decides to talk to Suzuki about her ideal type, and she realizes he had been listening in on their conversation earlier. She wants to know if it bothers him, but Tanny denies it, making her suddenly start chuckling. She explains that she has a lot of different feelings for different types, and Tanny just happens to fall into one of them. Even though he doesn't get it, Tanny accepts her explanation, as he recalls she usually calls him adorable. Tanny faces anxiety from Suzuki's explanation to the point of having nightmares because of it. To make matters worse, his grandmother refers to their cat as adorable, making him wonder if that is how Suzuki sees him. He concludes that if her idea of a cool person is strong, then he is far from that because his bones are literally made of jelly. Elsewhere, Suzuki and her brother argue over space, and then he drops her off close to school on her bike. Tani is jealous when he sees them, and Azuma suddenly appears beside him. She notices the look on his face and calls Suzuki to help him out of his misery. Suzuki quickly fixes her terrible hair, and from her conversation with Azuma, Tani is relieved to learn that the bike guy was Suzuki's brother. On their way to school, Azuma and Suzuki learn that Tani is an only child, which finally makes sense to them. Just then, Tara is surprised to see Tani sandwiched between the two girls, causing the start of his usual identity crisis. After school, Suzuki is unhappy when she learns that Tani has to stay back for library duties. After telling Tani that she will be heading home alone, Suzuki sneaks into the library like a brainless ostrich. Tani catches her, and she awkwardly explains that she just wants to see what the library looks like. As it turns out, she has never set foot inside a library. She worries that she might be called a stalker, but Tani assures her that it is fine. Tani is happy to see her, but he doesn't want to make her wait too long, so he tells her to leave if she gets bored. Suzuki misunderstands, thinking he wants to get rid of her, so she gives him space. She feels bad for being too clingy, and Tani notices that she might have misunderstood him, so he tells her to wait for him until the library closes in the evening. Suzuki is over the moon and proceeds to read a book while waiting for him. Meanwhile, Tani sees another introvert reading several books on how to make conversation with people. Their eyes soon meet, and both of them immediately sink into their shell. Tani starts thinking about Suzuki and how he is terrible at conveying his feelings to her properly. Later, while waiting outside for Tani to finish up, Suzuki sees her teacher riding a tiny bike and teases him about it. When Tani arrives, she tells him about it and laughs uncontrollably at the thought of a big dude riding a small bike with wheels the size of a pancake. She tells Tani that she finds the teacher adorable, but he can't relate to her joke. Tani then asks Suzuki what she means by always referring to him and others as adorable. He understands that cats are adorable, but he doesn't see how a chubby teacher can be considered adorable. After thinking about it, Suzuki explains that she uses it as a term of endearment. Later, they stop at their usual intersection, and Suzuki proudly brandishes the book she picked up from the library. She tells Tani that she will be visiting the library more often, and Tani tells her that he has read the book. Suzuki is happy because they just might have similar things to talk about. She tells him to recommend more books for her to read, even though their tastes in books might be different. Suzuki explains that she wants them to have a little in common and also get to know each other's preferences. After she finishes explaining, Tani is moved, and the atmosphere between them suddenly becomes heavy. Suzuki's heart beats furiously when Tani suddenly rubs her head quietly. Even though he can never become her ideal type, he still wants to make her heart flutter from time to time. Suzuki boils red when he cups her face in his hands, telling her that she is so adorable. There and then, she forgets how to breathe, only giving one-word answers when he talks to her. Back home, Tani rubs his cat's face as he did to Suzuki, while Suzuki is still floating on clouds because of him. The following day, Marimo greets Tani with the usual rowdy tap, and Tara appears like a ghost. He tells Tani about his conversation with Suzuki and how she referred to Tani as a cool guy. Tani's plain reaction shocks Tara because he was expecting him to be over the moon for receiving a compliment like that from his girlfriend. Tara experiences another crisis when Tani suddenly calls him a good person, and because of his reply, Marimo concludes that Tara is a nutcase. Later, Suzuki, Watanabe, and Sata see Tani smiling while talking with Tara and Marimo. The fact that Tani is smiling shocks them because he never smiles. Suzuki is very jealous and wants to hoard Tani for herself. She believes that she is funnier than the boys, but Tani has never smiled or laughed at her jokes. With summer approaching, Suzuki discusses her plans to attend a local festival with Tani. Watanabe suggests she wear a traditional Japanese dress called a yukata, and Suzuki loves the idea. All her excitement, however, fades when Sato reminds her about the upcoming midterms. For the rest of the day, Suzuki is moody about the midterms, but she suddenly starts rambling about food to escape reality and even drags Tani into it. The two jokers of the group, Watanabe and Marimo, arrive in high spirits until Suzuki reminds them of the exams. Suzuki then invites them for a study session, and Marimo tells Tani to join them, but he refuses. After he leaves, Suzuki explains to them that Tanny can't attend because he has library duty. Marimo and Watanabe then suggest they all have the study group in the library to keep Tanny company. At the library, Watanabe and Marimo are too dumb to understand Suzuki's teaching methods, so they ask Tanny to help. Sata catches Suzuki blushing, and Suzuki explains that she feels happy watching her friends get along with her boyfriend. Sata notes that despite their differences, her friends have crossed boundaries to bond with Tanny and wonders if she can do the same. Suzuki believes that Sata can also do it and reassures her, saying she and Tanny are quite similar. When Watanabe returns from studying with Tanny, she teases Suzuki about her relationship with Tanny, sending Suzuki running off in embarrassment. Afterwards, the group heads home, and Satu apologizes to Tanny for her rowdy group of friends. Tanny lets her know that it was quite fun to have more people in the library. Marimo suggests they eat before heading home, while Suzuki teases Tanny for pronouncing bibimbap wrongly. Satu also joins in on the joke, finally getting comfortable around Tanny, and shortly after, the group enjoys their food before heading home. That night, Suzuki finds a flyer for a new store in her neighborhood and decides to visit it. Before dashing out, her mom and brother also tell her to help them pick something from the store. At the store, Suzuki runs into Marimo, and they jokingly mock each other for dressing up like homeless fellows. Inside the store, they run into a grumpy Taro working there part-time, even though it is far from his home. Suzuki feels embarrassed buying toilet paper in front of her male friends, but they don't care about her. Shortly after, Suzuki and Marimo head out and loiter in front of the store. Suzuki happily talks about the smell of the rain, but she gets frustrated when Marimo fails to understand her. Just then, a motorcycle approaches, and the two flee, thinking it might be the cops, but it is only Watanabe. She cautions Suzuki for not dressing up, especially because this is also Tanny's neighborhood. Suzuki confidently assures her that Tanny will never step outside this late in the night. While she is still confidently rambling, Tanny actually arrives at the store, and Suzuki bolts off faster than the Flash. Tanny tries to find her, but Watanabe and Marimo distract him to buy Suzuki time to escape. Despite all their efforts, Tanny still catches up with Suzuki, who runs slower than Flash from Zootopia. Tanny asks why she ran away, and Suzuki explains that she doesn't want to ruin her image in his mind. Tanny doesn't understand why others can see her like that, but he can't, so Suzuki further explains that she wants him to constantly see her like a pretty dish. Though Tanny says he doesn't mind seeing her in rags, Suzuki still wants to maintain her pristine image in front of him. A few moments later, Tanny takes her on a ride while expressing his love for the smell of rain. This makes Suzuki blush so hard because she has finally met someone who can relate to her preferences. Suzuki suddenly jumps down from the bicycle when a police bike drives by, warning her not to loiter at night. Tanny is confused because the cop even calls Suzuki by name, meaning she is a frequent offender. After their long-awaited midterm exams are over, Suzuki excitedly looks forward to her summer festival date with Tanny. Watanabe and Satu advise her not to hold back in her relationship. Satu also warns her not to get overly giddy like a lovesick fool, and Suzuki swears by her ancestors never to get carried away. On the day of the festival, Suzuki arrives at the venue wearing a yukata and looking extremely nervous. She had spent the entire day anxiously getting dressed, while overthinking every detail, and now she somehow feels even less confident than she did before. However, all her hard work instantly pays off when Tanny compliments her, telling her she looks beautiful. Suzuki almost forgets how to breathe, since people usually call her cute, but never beautiful. As they head out to enjoy the festival, Suzuki grabs Tanny's arms so that they won't get separated in the crowd, but Tanny gently takes her hand instead, making her giggle uncontrollably like an idiot. Soon enough, the lovebirds fully blend into the festival atmosphere, and Suzuki completely forgets Sata's warning about practicing self-control. With Tanny constantly showering her with compliments, it becomes even harder for Suzuki to keep her feelings in check. While acting all mushy on the street, Suzuki notices another couple acting even more outrageously in public. Though shocked, a part of her badly wants to do the same thing with Tanny. The realization hits her hard, And Suzuki starts feeling embarrassed as she recalls how she got carried away the entire day. Later, Tanny leads her down a quiet path, making Suzuki suspect he might be taking her to a deserted place for some adult action. However, Tanny only takes her to a rooftop where several other people are gathered. As soon as they settle in, an awkward silence falls between them. Suzuki wonders what to do next or how to react, but she hears someone mention a fireworks show. Just then, the fireworks begin, and Suzuki realizes that Tanny brought her to watch the fireworks show from the next town. Suzuki thanks Tanny and tries to take a photo, but they are too far away. Suddenly, her phone slips and they both instinctively reach to grab it. In the heat of the moment, Suzuki and Tanny get too close for comfort, but they quickly pull away, ruining the moment. Still, those few seconds are enough to make Suzuki so nervous, and she realizes that she actually wants to kiss Tanny. Just then, Tanny snaps her back to reality, promising to take her to see the fireworks more closely next year. Suzuki is over the moon when she hears this, because it means that Tanny has her in his plans for next year. The next day, she excitedly tells her friends about her awesome festival date with Tanny.
Next, a shy girl named Nishi from another class sits in a corner, holding back her laughter while secretly listening to her classmates. Nishi is a socially awkward overthinker who can't hold conversations with anyone except for her best friend, Honda. Nishi explains to Honda about the exhausting process she has to go through mentally just to talk to someone. Honda tries to give her a few helpful pointers, but Nishi simply can't handle it, especially when the other person happens to be a guy. Nishi then opens up to Honda about Tanny, explaining that she used to think he was similar to her, but recently, he has been hanging out with the school's delinquents, and that has been bothering her. Honda tells her that she might actually be jealous of Tanny because he can easily engage in conversations with a diverse group, which is something Nishi desperately wishes she could do. After her conversation with Honda, Nishi realizes that she was really jealous of Tanny and wanted to be among the fun group like him. She then recalls how uncomfortable it was for her when Marimo caught her giggling secretly back then in the library. After spiraling during lectures, Nishi tells Honda that she will keep in her lane for now instead of aiming to hang out with people way out of her league. Just then, Marimo steps into their class to borrow Honda's note, sending Nishi down another anxiety hole. When he notices that Nishi has the same hobby of gathering bread stickers as him, Marimo is excited and starts rambling about it. Nishi finds this extremely funny, and she starts giggling, but when Marimo turns to pay attention to her, she cowers in fear. Suzuki soon arrives as rowdy as usual, telling Marimo to help her catch an insect in their classroom. Before leaving, she commends Marimo for chatting with a pretty girl. After they leave, Honda realizes that the delinquents Nishi was talking about are actually Marimo and Suzuki. She quickly explains to Nishi that Marimo isn't a delinquent and that they were even in the same class before. Apparently, Marimo has a strange thing for weird, quiet people who laugh at his jokes, and once he notices them chuckling, he tends to become obsessed with them. This is one of the reasons he has taken an interest in Nishi after seeing her giggling in the library. After his visit to Nishi's classroom that day, Marimo starts showing up there more often under the pretext of talking to Honda. Every now and then, he tries to include Nishi in the conversation, but she always curls up into herself like a frightened snail. Honda, however, sees right through Marimo's game, and she believes he might be the perfect candidate to help Nishi overcome her anxiety. Before leaving each time, Marimo always gives Nishi bread stickers for her collection, but Honda thinks it is a painfully dumb way to make any real progress between them. After a long, torturous speech from some old fogey, Suzuki and her classmates are completely drained. Marimo suddenly gives them something entertaining to talk about when he asks them for advice on how to rizz a girl. Suzuki and Azuma suggest different ideas on how he could get the girl's contact information, but Tara ruins the fun, saying it might be scary for a stranger to suddenly ask a girl for her number. Marimo then makes things even more confusing by admitting that he doesn't actually have feelings for the girl. After thinking it over for a moment, he decides that his feelings for her might actually be heading towards love. Pleased by this sudden turnaround, Suzuki and the others cheer him on, fully invested in Morimo's budding love life. Later on, Marimo marches straight into Nishi's class and bluntly asks for her contact information, leaving Nishi trembling. Even Honda is shocked because she wasn't expecting such a direct approach from him. After a brief hesitation, Nishi shakily gives him her contact details, while Honda remains stunned by the entire exchange. After school, Suzuki calls Tani and invites him to hang out at the library the next day. When Tani asks why she is whispering, Suzuki explains that her house has no soundproofing and she doesn't want her brother finding out about her love life. The following day, Tani tells his mother that he is going to the library, but he leaves out the part about hanging out with Suzuki. Suzuki meets him halfway, and they head to the library together, only to discover that there are no empty seats. Suzuki suggests hanging out at a cafe, but Tani decides they should use his house since it is the closest to them. Suzuki panics when she hears this because she is not dressed properly for meeting the in-laws. As if sensing her thoughts, Tani lets her know that no one will be at home except them. This only worsens Suzuki's anxiety as her mind wanders to the red light area. However, when they arrive at Tani's house, Suzuki is a bit disappointed because Tani simply focuses on reading instead of making any shady moves. They study quietly until Suzuki's stomach begins to growl like a mountain beast, so Tani serves her food. While eating, Suzuki asks Tani if his family knows about her, but Tani replies that they don't. He lets her know that he can tell them if she wants, but Suzuki tells him not to bother. After lunch, Tani heads back to his room, and Suzuki sees this as the perfect opportunity to snoop around, so she follows him inside. While poking around, Suzuki learns that Tani lives with his grandmother and even flips through his middle school yearbook. At some point, she suddenly leans in close, making Tani forget how to breathe, only for his hopes to be completely crushed when he realizes she was actually fixated on the cute cat behind him. After playing with the cat for a while, Suzuki decides to head home, but while fooling around outside, she almost trips. Tani catches her just in time for his grandmother to see them in a compromising position. Suzuki quickly greets Tani's grandmother, but she freezes mid-sentence, unsure of how to explain their relationship. As things get awkward, Tani steps in and introduces her as his girlfriend. Tani's grandmother is pleased and picks a few vegetables from her garden, asking Suzuki to take them home. When Suzuki gets home, she finally confesses to her mother that she has a boyfriend, but she begs her not to tell her father or brother. Her mother agrees and encourages her to bring Tani over for a visit soon. Meanwhile, Tani's grandmother is over the moon after meeting her grandson's girlfriend.
After summer break, the students begin preparing for the cultural festival, with Suzuki's class assigned to run the food division. During the preparations, Suzuki excitedly tells Azuma and Marimo about her summer date with Tani. Later, Marimo informs them that he made no progress with Nishi over the break, leaving Suzuki and Azuma disappointed in him. Elsewhere, Nishi confides in Honda about the awkward texting between her and Marimo throughout the summer. Although Honda suggests she simply ignore him, Nishi refuses and blames her awkwardness for the tension between them. She explains that Marimo had wanted to call her over the break, but she was the one who turned him down, which only made things more uncomfortable between them. Back in the classroom, Azuma and Suzuki are still busy dissecting Marimo's pathetic love life, and they tease him about how he always seems to start dating someone on a whim just because they laughed at one of his jokes. During the discussion, Marimo accidentally brings up Suzuki's ex-boyfriend, instantly leaving her flustered. Meanwhile, while out shopping, Tara grows anxious after noticing Nishi and Honda stealing glances in his direction. Convinced they might be gossiping about him, he hurriedly urges Tani to leave the store. Elsewhere, Azuma and Marimo continue trying to pry into Suzuki's past relationship, but their interrogation is cut short by the timely arrival of Satu and Watanabe. While relaxing after their shopping trip, Tara asks Tani about his insecurities when it comes to dating Suzuki. He feels almost pathetic for bringing it up, convinced that Tani isn't the type to be bothered by something so trivial, but to his surprise, Tani admits that he is constantly plagued by self-doubt. On the day of the cultural festival, Suzuki and her friends enjoy themselves running their classroom restaurant, and by the second day, Suzuki is ready to slip away to explore the festival with Tani. Before they leave, she playfully asks him to write a message on her shirt, and as he scribbles it down, Marimo teases him, suggesting he start addressing Suzuki more casually since they're officially dating. Moments later, the lovebirds take off to enjoy the festival, and Suzuki, ever so hyper-literally, drags Tani everywhere. Later, They run into Nishi at the photography club, and as soon as she sees them, her anxiety shoots up. She hopes they can treat her as classroom furniture, but Suzuki keeps asking so many questions that Nishi ends up being an art curator for them. After their visit, Nishi is happy because she managed to hold a conversation with them longer than she usually does. However, her excitement is short-lived as she soon bumps into Marimo, causing her to shrink internally like a tortoise. Marimo, on the other hand, taken aback by her cuteness, mindlessly drops his phone while staring at her. Back in the classroom, Tara refuses to go out and have fun due to his inferiority complex, but Azuma manages to bundle him out. On their way out, they run into Rihito, who happens to be Suzuki's ex-boyfriend. On her way back, Suzuki bumps into Rihito, and he casually calls her by her first name, making Tanny uncomfortable. Suzuki hurriedly introduces him as her middle-grade classmate. Before long, things suddenly turn awkward between them as Suzuki smiles like a knockoff clown hoping for the ground to retire her early. Apparently, Suzuki and Rihito were best buddies until their classmates started urging them to date. Back then, Rihito only jokingly asked her out, but Suzuki took it seriously and accepted his offer in front of the whole class. However, after they started dating, things became awkward between them, so Rihito immediately broke up with her and explained that he was only joking. After a long, awkward silence and spiraling thoughts, Rihito decides to break the ice by asking Suzuki to go back to being his friend. They bump fists to seal the deal, and Rihito walks away, but Suzuki feels bad for not being able to make the first move. Despite that, Suzuki feels relieved like a weight has been lifted off her shoulder, but she turns around to see Tanny marinating in vinegar. Her friends hurriedly bolt, sensing a lover's quarrel, leaving Suzuki to handle her mess alone. Moments later, she explains everything to Tanny, clearly stating that she considers him her first boyfriend and not Rihito. Despite her efforts to clear things up, Tanny still leaves abruptly, asking for some time alone to figure out his feelings. Shortly afterward, Rihito meets up with Marimo and thanks him for inviting him to the cultural festival. He explains that because of it he was able to sort things out with Suzuki, but Marimo is puzzled, as he hadn't even realized the two of them were having problems. Elsewhere, Suzuki beats herself up for causing a rift between her and Tanny while Azuma tries to give her some advice to fix the problem. After a while, Suzuki finally gets an epiphany and rushes out to face her problems with Tanny head-on. Watching her leave, Azuma is jealous and wishes that her pathetic love life could at least get a little action. On her way out, she bumps into a guy, hoping he is the Romeo she has been waiting for, but her excitement instantly vanishes when she realizes that it's just plain boring Tara. Elsewhere, Tanny is licking his wound while thinking about Suzuki and her ex-boyfriend. He feels like a loser for acting so petty and jealous because of Rihito's appearance. Suzuki's sudden arrival snaps him out of his spiral when she wraps her arms around him and confesses her love. After listing all the reasons she loves him, Suzuki admits that there are things she still struggles to understand about him, especially how he bottles up his feelings instead of sharing them with her. Their romantic moment is abruptly interrupted by an announcement over the intercom summoning both of them to the gym. Before they leave, Tanny confesses that he doesn't resent her past, but what he hates is himself for constantly comparing himself to her ex and her idol, who seem alike in so many ways. Suzuki quickly apologizes for making him feel that way and reassures him that she also often worries she isn't good enough for him either, since she is not his usual type. With their insecurities finally settled, Tanny casually calls Suzuki by her first name, and she does the same in return. Having torn down the wall between them, the two return their relationship to how it used to be. After the cultural festival, Suzuki ends up at an impromptu middle grade reunion with Rihito and Marimo. Rihito reminisces about their middle grade, stating that it was way more fun than high grade. He goes on about how much he misses those days until he is nearly in tears, while the others stare at him, wondering if he has a few screws loose. The next day, Marimo tells Tara and Tanny about the meetup, and Tara asks if Tanny is really okay with his girlfriend hanging out with her ex. Tanny says he doesn't mind, and paying attention to it would make him look petty. Tara then wonders if Marimo has made any progress in his romantic life, but decides it's too awkward to ask. The scene flashes back to the festival, where Marimo visits Nishi's photo studio. An awkward silence stretches between them, leaving Nishi too nervous to speak. After gathering her courage, she tries to start a conversation, but Marimo speaks at the same time, and she lets him go first. Marimo starts by apologizing to Nishi for being too pushy after Tara suggested she might feel pressured by his advances. Nishi apologizes too and, in one breath, blurts out how nervous she gets replying to his texts, which leaves Marimo completely stunned. After hearing her out, he realizes she's his total opposite. He then tells her that he is always happy when she messages him, so he never even gets the chance to overthink his replies. He urges her to relax around him and even gives her tips on how to talk, which makes her laugh at his ridiculous coaching. Before leaving, Marimo gets her to promise they'll talk more often at school, especially when they run into each other. Back in the present, Tara is still agonizing over Marimo's love life, but can't bring himself to ask. Tanny notices Marimo glancing around and asks if he's waiting for someone, but Marimo quickly denies it. On his way home, Tara keeps comparing everyone else's happy love lives to his own very tragic one. Just as he decides to clear his head with some music, Suzuki the Chatterbird swoops in and ruins the silence. Tanny joins them soon after, and Suzuki suggests going to Tara's workplace for ice cream. He tries to refuse, but her persistence melts his resolve faster than an iceberg, leaving him no choice but to play host. The next day, Nishi spots Marimo but struggles to greet him first, but when she finally gathers the courage, he beats her to it. On their way to class, they run into Honda, who is completely stunned to see them together, and when they're alone, Honda asks Nishi how she feels about Marimo. Nishi's overly dramatic answer makes Honda wonder if she has stepped into a shoujo manga. Nishi then goes on about how her heart nearly pounds out of her chest whenever she sees Marimo. Honda offers plenty of advice to help her sort through her feelings, and Nishi decides to practice talking to him without panicking. Honda cheers her on, promising to support her as she battles her lifelong shyness. Later, Nishi and Tanny leave after library duty, and on their way out, a shuttlecock lands squarely on Tanny's head, and it turns out to be Suzuki and her friends playing outside while waiting to walk home with them. The group heads off together, but Suzuki's over-the-top friendliness makes Nishi so uneasy that she spirals into overthinking again. Once the conversation drifts away from her, she relaxes and quietly chuckles at their jokes until Marimo catches her. Soon afterwards, the conversation switches to Marimo's, and Nishi finds herself chuckling again, drawing Marimo's attention. He then questions her about the random chuckles, and Nishi nervously tells him that she is trying to change that habit. However, he tells her not to change the best part of herself, leaving her extremely flustered. Just then, Sada hands Marimo a cool deodorant, and his reaction makes Nishi chuckle even harder. Seeing how happy she is, Marimo shoots her a smile, nearly giving her a heart attack on the spot. The following day, Nishi runs into Tanny and feels proud when she manages to exchange greetings with him. However, her excitement instantly fades as soon as she spots Marimo heading towards them. Before he can notice her, she bolts off faster than the flash, leaving even Suzuki confused. Suzuki then sharply asks Tanny what he was talking about with Nishi, and he calmly says they just exchanged greetings. Later, Suzuki brings up Nishi again, making Tanny worried she might have some kind of misunderstanding. During lunch, he asks Tara for some advice regarding it, and Tara tells him that Suzuki might be jealous. But Tanny refuses to believe a happy-go-lucky girl like Suzuki would be jealous over a loser like him. Tanny tries to milk Tara for more wisdom, but Azuma suddenly pops up, scaring them off their seats. After school, Suzuki asks Tanny about his library duty, hinting that he will be spending time with Nishi again. However, before he can ask if she has some kind of misunderstanding, her friends arrive with goodies, instantly stealing Suzuki's attention. During library duty, Tanny and Nishi quietly stress over their own relationship troubles, and when it ends, they walk out still plotting solutions. Nishi decides to stop running from Marimo, while Tanny resolves to talk to Suzuki directly instead of spiraling in his head. Outside, they find Suzuki and her friends playing with bubbles, and Tanny quickly tries to speak to her, but she breezes past him to talk to Nishi instead. Suzuki then urges Nishi to go play with Marimo, and she happily agrees, leaving Suzuki wearing a suspiciously wicked grin. It is then revealed that on their way home the previous day, Suzuki had noticed Nishi and Marimo flirting with each other. She also recalled that Marimo was chasing a girl, so when she saw Nishi speeding away earlier, everything finally made sense to her, and naturally, she decided to take matters into her own hands to play Cupid. Watching the two of them enjoy each other's company, Suzuki is proud of her masterpiece. Meanwhile, Tanny is utterly embarrassed when he finally realizes why Suzuki had been interested in Nishi all along. A few days later, Suzuki excitedly tells her friends about her after-school date plans with Tanny and says her main plan is to take photo stickers, because she looks cute in them. Later on, as she happily heads to the train station with Tanny, they run into Azuma, who gets a little envious of Suzuki's budding love life and takes a picture together with her and Tanny. However, this catches Tanny off guard, and he asks why they need to take a photo when they see each other at school every day. So Azuma explains that it's a way to store memories. This makes sense to Tanny because he remembers that Suzuki also said the same thing previously on their first date. When they arrive at their date location, Suzuki takes an awkward photo of Tanny, so when she starts munching on her dessert, he does the same. But Suzuki complains because she doesn't want to be caught unfresh. After eating, she manages to convince Tanny to take sticker photos with her, but Tanny remains expressionless throughout the process, until Suzuki grabs his cheek while following the photo prompts. After taking the shots, they discuss where to place the stickers to prevent Suzuki's parents from seeing them, so they finally settle for a shared digital album, and when Suzuki finally shows her friends the photos, they realize that the filters didn't touch Tanny because of his glasses, making the photo awkward. Meanwhile, Azuma, whose love life is in the dumps, receives a text from an ex-boyfriend who ghosted her. And the following day, when she tells her friends about it, they decide to go bowling to cheer her up. So during the weekend, the group arrives at the bowling center, and Suzuki notices that Azuma is running late. So she asks Tara why they didn't come together since they live in the same neighborhood. But because of his inferiority complex, Tara likes to stay invisible. Just then, Azuma finally arrives, and everyone prepares to start bowling, but when they learn that Suzuki has the worst skills, everyone panics, fearing she might mistakenly take off someone's head with a bowling ball. Suddenly, Tara sees a couple of students from his neighborhood, and his anxiety shoots up as he prays that they don't notice him. As if sensing his discomfort, Azuma sits beside him and assures him that none of them will come over because they all have a history with her, but she refuses to explain further. Later, the group enjoys bowling and other fun games before heading home and leaving Tara and Azuma to wait for their train. During the wait, Tara asks Azuma about the guys from earlier and their relationship to her, so she explains that two of the boys are her ex-boyfriends, and the two girls with them were their current girlfriends, but the whole explanation sounded like calculus to Tara. So Azuma breaks it down, and apparently, after the first guy broke up with her, he started dating his current girlfriend, who was her friend at the time. And for the second dude, Azuma tells Tara that he was two-timing her and her friend, so she simply blocked him and dropped out of the group entirely. After hearing this, Tara finds it sickening that they were passing each other around like tissue paper. She also tells him that one of the girls acted friendly towards her as if nothing ever happened, and just then, her ex-boyfriend sends her another message, and Azuma simply laughs it off. But Tara finds it offensive and gets angry on her behalf, so he advises her to stop letting them treat her like trash and then act like nothing ever happened. On her way home later, Azuma finally realizes that Tara is right and she needs to cut off some bad eggs from her life. So the following morning, she decides to thank him, but before she can do so, Tara quickly apologizes for being nosy with her business. Later that night, Suzuki's mother informs her that her father and brother will be out for the weekend and asks her to invite Tanny over. So during the weekend, Suzuki's mother happily prepares a lavish meal, and when she finally meets Tanny, her brain almost implodes because all the guys Suzuki usually hangs out with are rough brutes like her brother. Before Tanny can even drink a cup of tea, Suzuki's mother bombards him with questions until Suzuki stops her. But when her mother continues to act like a klutz, Suzuki quickly takes Tanny to her room and, after apologizing to him, she starts ranting about the weather like a chatterbox, until she notices Tanny staring at her intently. As silence falls between them, Tanny grabs her hand, making her flustered, and her heart almost flatlines when she hears her mother's voice. Unfortunately, the next moment, her father returns, and in a panic, Suzuki's mother reveals that she brought home a boy. Meanwhile, Suzuki nervously tries to come up with possible conversations, but she calms down when Tanny suddenly grabs her hand, so she sits next to him. Suddenly, she asks for a hug, and Tanny agrees without hesitation. However, when he embraces her, she trembles nervously like a jellyfish, until she practically hears Tanny's heart beating loudly, so she wonders if he's about to die. Afterwards, they embrace each other again, and when Suzuki remembers the first time she asked him out, the memory immediately helps her calm her nerves. And while they practice endearing names to call each other, Suzuki's father puts on his best dad outfit to wait for his daughter's visitor. A few moments later, Suzuki steps out of the room with Tanny and almost chokes when she sees her father there. After regaining her composure, she introduces Tanny to him as her boyfriend, leaving him stunned. After which, he proceeds to bombard Tanny with a million questions, leaving Suzuki embarrassed. As she walks him home later, Suzuki apologizes to Tanny on behalf of her crazy parents, and Tanny chuckles as he remembers how fun they were. He tells Suzuki that after seeing her photo album and her parents, he finally understands her better. Suzuki is embarrassed when she hears this, and with that, they walk slowly as Suzuki chatters on about her love for the weather. Shortly after, Tanny says something sweet to her, which instantly makes Suzuki mushy and unable to control her feelings. Thanks for watching till the end, and make sure to hit the bell for future episodes.